Okay, so in the previous lecture, we had discussed about the Bolzano-Weierstrass theorem, right? Till now, we have already discussed about limit points, integer points, open sets, closed sets, neighborhoods, etc. In this lecture, we are going to discuss about compact sets, disconnected and connected sets, okay, dense sets, and perfect sets. Clear? So let's start with them. Compact sets. So, see, compact sets basically have two definitions. One of them, I personally study two definitions of compact sets. One of them is given by Rudy, okay, which says that any set S belonging to R, S belonging to R, if exists such that any open cover, any open cover or open covers, let us write it in the general form. So every open cover, every open cover has a finite, has a finite subcover. Every open cover has a finite subcover. Then S is called a compact set. S is called a compact set. Is it clear? The definition of compact sets. Achha, this definition is is basically for any arbitrary metric space, not only the set of reals. Okay. This is possible for any arbitrary metric space. Okay. There is one more definition of compact sets, which is from the Heine-Borel theorem. Some people also call it the Heine-Borel theorem. I don't know the exact pronunciation. So, according to the Heine-Borel theorem, any set S. Achha, this Heine-Borel theorem is only for the real number system. Okay. Rudy's definition is can be obeyed by any arbitrary metric space, but the Heine-Borel theorem is only for the real number system. So, any set S belongs to R if closed and bounded, if closed and bounded is compact. Okay, so any subset of R if closed and bounded then is compact. Got it? Let's see a few examples to understand. First, let us discuss what is an open cover. So, see, open covers, right? Open covers. Easy to understand. Suppose you have a set. Let us represent this in a number line. Suppose you have a set S. Okay. So this is a set S, and you have a family of sets which are like this. So suppose this is one set. Okay. Then let's say this is one set. This is one set. This is one set. This is one set. In this way, you form the intervals. Sets are like. Okay. So all these small intervals or all of these small sets are belonging to some family of sets T. Let us write T as Tn such that n belongs to the set of natural numbers. Got it? Now, if you find the union of all these sets, then carefully notice that this union will cover each and every element of S, right? This union will cover each and every element of S, right? Basically, what I mean to say is that S will get contained in this union. Such families of sets whose union will make the an arbitrary set subset of any metric space get contained in itself, such sets are called open covers. I guess you people understood this, right? You can have infinite open cover, that is this family. This family may have infinite elements, infinite sets, or this family may have some finite number of sets. If you have suppose this set S is equals to this open interval 0 comma 1, okay, and you form a family say T, which is the ordered pair 1 comma 1 by n comma 1, such that n tends to infinity, n tends to the set of natural numbers, n goes to the set of natural numbers. So, now carefully notice what happens here. See, if we take infinite number of elements, so when n tends to infinity, 1 over n comma 1, this ordered pair tends to 0 comma 1. So as n tends to infinity, we find that this ordered pair tends to this interval. That means as n tends to infinity, if we find the union of all the elements as n tends to infinity of this or the ordered pair, then we can surely say that this interval will get covered by the union of each of these elements. Okay, because the infinite interval tends to this value, right? Getting my point clear? So as n tends to infinity, we will be able to cover this set by the union of each of these elements. Okay. So we can say that T is an open cover. T is an open cover of S, and it's infinite cover. It's an infinite open cover. Since we need an infinite number of elements in T to cover this S. Get it? Getting my point? So this it's an infinite cover. Got it? Clear? Now suppose we do this. Suppose we have a finite set, say 1, 2, 3. Okay, and we form T. For example, suppose say that T is the set containing the epsilon neighborhood of n such that n is equals to 1 comma 2 comma 3. Okay, so this is basically a finite set because number of intervals contained in this particular family is 3, epsilon neighborhood of 1, epsilon neighborhood of 3, and epsilon neighborhood of 3, and still it will cover this. Getting my point? See, so you have this as 1, this as 2, and this as 3. Right. Suppose this is the epsilon neighborhood of 1, this is the epsilon neighborhood of 2, and this is the epsilon neighborhood of 3. So if you find the union of these three neighborhoods, you will always be able to cover 1, 2, and 3. Right? Because we are not supposed to cover any elements between 1 and 2 or 2 and 3 because the set contains only 1, 2, and 3. Right? So the union of these subsets, I mean these neighborhoods, will basically cover all the elements of it. So this becomes a finite open cover. This becomes a finite open cover. I don't getting this particular point. What is the finite open cover? What is infinite open cover? I guess these questions are clear. Okay. Talking about subcovers. So talking about subcovers. See, subcovers are basically, suppose you have a set S which belongs to R, and say T is an open cover of S. T is an open cover of S. If there exists some T such that T is a smaller collection than T, or let's say T is a smaller collection of T, okay, and D covers S. What I mean is that the elements of D can be, seems to be subsets of the elements of T. For example, the example which we took as S is equals to 0 comma 1, and T for the set of elements 1 comma n to 1 such that n tends to such that n belongs to set of naturals. If we consider D as this set 1 over 2n comma 1 such that n belongs to the set of naturals, so we can basically say that this particular set of elements 1 comma 2 n comma 1 basically is a subset if this is considered a set, right? Got it? So this is the smaller collection of this particular type of sets 1 comma 2 n. We can say 1 comma 2 n comma 1, sorry, 1 by 2 n comma 1 is basically contained in 1 by n comma 1. So this is a smaller collection and still it covers S. Reason being the limit n tends to infinity 1 over 2 n comma 1 tends to 0 comma 1. So as n tends to infinity, we will be able to cover this S using this set. So smaller collection still covers. D becomes a subcover. Okay, D is a subcover of S. Clear? Okay, so this is the basic meaning of subcover, and the same terminology basically continues. If D has a finite number of elements, it's called a finite subcover. If it is infinite elements, it's called a infinite subcover. Got it? So this is what compact set means. Examples you may say, see, now examples are basically direct results of the Heine-Borel theorem. Any closed and bounded set can be basically is closed set. Sorry, is a compact set, right? There are some counter examples, but we are not going to discuss those counter examples. Let's take this a general case. So R is not compact, right? It is not bounded. Here, any closed and bounded set. Suppose this is compact because it bounded between 0 and 1, right? And it's closed. All limit points of this is contained in itself. These two can be examples of compact sets. Is this part clear? Is this part clear? Dense sets. Let's talk about dense sets. What are dense sets? So talking about dense sets. Okay. So a set S which is contained in R is said to be dense in R, is said to be dense in R if the derived set of S is equals to R. Clear? That is, the set of all limit points of the subset of R is equals to R. Then such sets are called dense in R. Got it? For example, Q. There is already a proof by which says that rationals are dense in real. Between any two real number, there is a rational number. Remember that terminology is basically applied here, right? Q set of all rationals is dense in real. So we say Q is dense in R. Okay. Since limit points of Q is equals to R. Okay. So you can basically prove that rationals are dense in real using this concept also. The limit points of Q will belong to R. Okay. Similarly, the complement also is dense. Q complement means set of irrationals. Set of irrationals also is dense. Clear? This is the basic examples of dense sets. Dense in itself, if I say that a set is dense in itself, okay, a set S belonging to R is said to be dense in itself if every point of S is a limit point of S, that is S dash is equals to S. Clear? This is a very fine example. Okay, you know, remember what we had in open sets. Every point in the open set would be an interior point. Here is what is happening. A set is called a dense set if every point in itself is basically a limit point. Okay, all the limit point, every point of S is a limit point of S. Got it? Acha. Clear? For example, 0 comma 1 is a dense set. Is a dense set. Dense set in itself. Dense set in itself. Okay. You remember that 0 comma 1, the derived set of 0 comma 1 was closed interval 0 comma 1, and the derived set of closed interval 0 comma 1 was closed interval 0 comma 1. So S dash belongs to is equals to S. This is a dense set. Okay. This much is clear. What is a dense set? Acha. Perfect sets. Let's talk about perfect sets. See, perfect sets. You know, a set S is a subset of R is called perfect. Is called perfect if it's closed and dense in itself. If it's closed and dense in itself. Clear? For example, the above this is a example of a perfect set, you may say, because this is a closed set. Every limit point of it is contained in itself as well as it is dense. Introductory examples, these are terminologies. Disconnected set is kind of important, but understanding is very conceptual. See, what is the definition of a disconnected set? First, let's see. Without understanding disconnected set, you won't be able to understand a connected set. Disconnected set, let's say. So, a set S, the subset of R, is disconnected. Is disconnected if there exists a disjoint open set, disjoint open sets A and B, such that S is equals to A union B, and what was this? You remember A bar? What was this called? Closure of a set, right? Union between the derived set and the set itself was called the closure of a set. So this is equals to a null set, okay, and this is also a null set where A comma B are not null sets individually. Okay, got it? Clear? And any set which is not connected is a disconnected set. Okay, got it? Clear? So what we all learned today? Wait a minute. Let me have some water. 1 second. Now. 1 second. Let me have some water. I'm coming. 1 second. Okay, so I'm here. Acha. So you people have understood what is a disconnected set, right? Now, if any set is not disconnected, then it's connected. Any set, any set not disconnected is connected. So if you negate the statement of disconnected sets, you will get the concept of connected set. And the most basic understanding of what a connected set is basically telling that connected sets are basically intervals. Okay, connected sets are basically intervals. Got it? Any set, I'm writing it in this color, let's say, any subset of R is connected if and only if it is an interval. Got it? Any interval is a connected set. So if you negate these statements, you will get the condition for some set to be interval. Connected set basically means, I'm telling you what. Suppose this is the set you have. Okay. Suppose this is one set A B. Okay. And say this is one set B C. Clear? Clear. Let us draw it like this. Let's say. This is one set B C. Clear? Achha. So if this set is such that on the union you can cover each and every element in between this point and this point. Okay, if you can do that, you can cover each and every element between this point and this point, then such sets are called connected sets. So that's why connected sets are basically intervals. So any interval is a connected set. Got it? This much is clear. Okay, so these are some important sets which you might require in understanding point set theory. The next lecture I will be trying to bring the proof and the statement of the Heine-Bodel theorem, so which is kind of important for the compact set understanding. Also, that has an application of the Cauchy's intersection theorem. Okay. that will we will also discuss about that in the next lecture. So meet you guys in the next lecture.